So I'd like to give you my absolute best advice for this coming basketball offseason. And when I was growing up playing, especially in high school, this used to be my favorite time of year. I would literally fantasize about this throughout the high school season when the season would end and I would get into the bulk of my off-season training. And it was at the point where I actually, in many ways, I enjoyed the training process more than the actual season of playing. And so, like I said, I want to give you my best advice for approaching your off season of training. And if I had had this advice for myself, it would have saved me so many years of just wasted time spinning my wheels, coming back the following year, the exact same player. And this actually, by the way, was inspired by a comment on our forum from a player who said a similar thing. He was really excited about the coming off season, but he was actually a little bit afraid that he was going to end up spinning his wheels and wasting it. And so he wanted some advice, and this is the advice I gave him. Pick one skill training program and one performance training program and do them exactly as they are outlined without adding anything else for the entire offseason. In addition to that, do the basic deep game training that's in the program and we discuss in these talks, which includes generally at least 20 minutes of meditation practice per day, along with other various habits and techniques. So the combination of those three things, one skill training program, one performance training program, and deep game, combined, all off season long, without second guessing, without switching, and without adding anything. That is the absolute best advice I can give you. And for me personally, my most disappointing and worst off season of training came when I think I was going into the 11th grade, so my junior season. It's actually, there's some pictures of that year right up there. We did quite well as a team, but for me personally, I had just come off a fairly successful 10th grade season playing as a sophomore in varsity and was a league third team all-star. And so I had some big hopes for the following year. And basically, I just tried too hard. There was this old kind of popular strength training program called West Side for Skinny Bastards by Joe DeFranco. And so I took that program and then I added in a whole bunch of bodybuilding techniques because I was quite skinny. I added in Olympic lifts, plyometrics, some powerlifting stuff. It was just this huge program that I had to do like 5 or 6 times per week in the weight room. And then on top of that, I was doing several different skill training programs and trying to play pickup at the same time. And my skill training included like going to the gym for 4 hours at a time and shooting 1,000 shots. And so it was very inefficient. And by the end of the summer, I actually remember I had like a calf injury from overuse. And I went into the following season with my body broken down. My knees were in terrible shape. I had to get those knee straps for jumper's knee. And like I was just a mess by the end of that season or off season. And I went into the following season, essentially the exact same player on the court in games. My performance did not change. I think my scoring average may have actually gone down a little bit. That season, if I'm remembering correctly, I was averaging like 10 or 12 points per game or something like that. So, all in all, hardest I had ever worked, but the worst results because I literally didn't get any better. And in some ways, I got worse because my body actually had all of this overuse on it. So the following summer, I decided that I was going to keep it really simple. I was going to do a skill training program that my trainer had given to me, and often I did it with him. And then I would do a really simple performance training program, which included, if I'm not mistaken, it was usually 2 upper body and 1 lower body workout per week, just progressively getting a little bit stronger and a little bit stronger. And maybe like some very basic plyometrics in the beginning, but nothing heavy duty. And I went back the following year in the best shape of my life. I'd put on a whole bunch of muscle. I was dunking for the first time, like real dunks in pickup games and stuff. And my shot was better, my handle was better, my mind was clearer and sharper. And because I just kept it so simple, this is the take home point here. I was able to allocate all of my energy to the things that actually mattered. I wasn't spreading my energy thin so that by the time I got to the things that were really yielding results, my energy was too low to put the full force of my effort into them. And this is just a really simple fact of life. As a human being, as a basketball player, there are probably, usually, about 20% of the things that you're actually doing in your training are getting you about 80% of the results. This is called the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. You've probably heard this many times before, but it's really powerful to apply to your training. And so I would say to you, look at exactly what's really yielding the results, what really matters here, and apply your focus and your attention to those things, and then take out the stuff that you just don't need to be doing. In a lot of cases, off-season training is more about what you don't do than what you actually do. And I shouldn't say just off-season training, this applies year round. Um, and I'll give you one more quick example of this. One off season, I decided one of my main focuses was to put on a lot of muscle. And so during the preseason, it was like around September, when I was going back to school, I kind of decided to like really step on the gas and really try to put on a bunch of muscle. Why I wanted to do this, I don't know. It's not this time of year to do that, but I started waking up in the middle of the night and drinking a protein shake, taking branched chain amino acids with the protein shake, and then eating 2 scoops of peanut butter, just like straight out of the jar. I would do this in the middle of the night every single night, and I gained so much weight so quickly, so much muscle. I think I put on like 8 pounds in 6 weeks or something crazy like that. But because I put on all of that weight, by the way, I started having skin problems and acne and all kinds of stuff happened. But the worst part was that every time I stepped on the basketball court, I would literally get a pump in my lower legs. My calves would get a pump, like when you're in the gym lifting and your arms are so pumped that you can barely move them. That would happen to my legs when I played basketball. So within 5 minutes, I was almost completely non-functional when I played. And I had to go and lose all of this weight really quickly before the season finally began. And I remember telling my trainer, and he was like, "What are you thinking? You're not a bodybuilder. You're a basketball player. Like, don't do stuff like that." And so I tell this story just to emphasize that it's not about what you do so much as what you choose not to do. And if you keep it really simple and stick to the absolute fundamental basics, choose one skill training program from a good trainer. I would typically recommend Drew Hanlon. We used to collaborate on the EGT programs together, but I'm sure he's got some updated programs over at Pure Sweat. So check out whatever Drew recommends for off season. Just follow that. Don't change it. Just follow what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. And then for performance training, you've got lots of options out there. I know. There's a lot of our players use something from PJF Performance, if I'm getting that right. Think Pro has a good program in VertShock. There's many options out there, but choose one. Okay, it should be a blend of upper and lower body training. Whatever your focus is, just choose the program that calls out to you. That's from an established, intelligent trainer. The guys at PJF are very good. Kelly Baggett is kind of an old school trainer that I used to work with, who's very good as well. But whatever you choose, don't add anything else on top of it. All right. Like really resist that impulse. I know it comes from a good place. You just want to do as much as you possibly can, but don't do it. Stick with one performance training program, one skill training program, and the deep game training in combination throughout the entire off season, and you will do so well. And the other thing I'll say as well, we have a more elaborate talk here at Deep Game called Advanced Guide to Work Ethic for Basketball. It's about an hour long, and this will really expand on the concepts that I'm speaking about here. And there's a lot of nuance to this, so I strongly recommend checking that out. It's free over at the Deep Game YouTube channel or on podcast. That will really clarify what the deeper approach to off-season training is, and year-round training for that matter. And we actually give some templates for you as well. So that's my best advice to you. Keep it simple. Don't add a whole bunch of stuff like I used to do and just spin my wheels. Like, keep it super simple. Follow the template that's outlined in that talk, or just one skill training program, one performance training program, and deep game. All right. That is my absolute best advice to you. If you follow that and you don't change it and you don't second guess it throughout the summer and spin your wheels trying to find the perfect program, which doesn't exist, and you're just consistent on training that works, you will have no risk whatsoever of wasting your off season. And actually, most likely, you will come back the following year a completely transformed player. And that process is done by simply focusing on the basics consistently over time. All right. that is my best advice to you. I wish you an incredible summer of training. Enjoy it. These are like really the times that I miss looking back. You know, it was just a beautiful phase of life, like going into the summer of high school off-season training. Like these were some of the best times of my life. So I wish you just an incredible summer. And if you ever need help with any of it, just reach out and let us know. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you completely transformed next season.